In the late 1980s, four men, Mohamad Kamal Elzahabi, Nabil al-Marabh, Raed Hijazi, and Bassam Kanj, would meet each other in Afghanistan training camps. All four of the men take part in fighting against the Soviets. This is according to testimony by Elzahabi to FBI agents in 2004. Elzahabi will later claim that while there, he met Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, who would later become infamous for attacking U.S. soldiers in Iraq and for creating the Islamic State in Iraq, and other al-Qaeda leaders such as Abu Zubaydah and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. This appears to be the genesis of a Boston al-Qaeda sleeper cell that would later play vital roles in 9/11 and other al-Qaeda plots. The four men will go their separate ways in subsequent years, but by 1998, all of them will be working as taxi drivers in Boston. Between the years of 1989 and 1994, Nabil al-Marabh would move to Boston, and by these years, he apparently lives there as a taxi driver. According to the New York Times on September 18, 2001, the FBI, in a 2003 interview, will claim that al-Marabh had conflict with a fellow Boston taxi driver and falsely accused him of planning to bomb a car. He will say he spoke with FBI agents who concluded the allegations were false. But from this time on, the FBI repeatedly tried to recruit him to become an informant. He will claim he refused the offer. In a 2002 statement, al-Marabh will claim that he traveled to Pakistan in 1992 at the behest of a roommate who both worked for the FBI and fought in Afghanistan. Interestingly, when al-Marabh will be briefly detained in Canada in the summer of 2001, fellow prisoners will claim that he repeatedly stays in contact with the FBI because they find him special there. While in Pakistan, al-Marabh stays at the House of Martyrs, a guest house notoriously connected to Osama bin Laden. He says he meets al-Qaeda operative Raed Hijazi there. The two of them will later be roommates in Boston in the late 1990s. Curiously, the Washington Post will claim that Hijazi becomes an FBI informant around the time he and al-Marabh were roommates in Boston in early 1997. Al-Marabh and Hijazi go to training camps provided to them by al-Qaeda and receive training in bomb making, rifles, machine guns, and rocket-propelled grenades. According to the Chicago Sun-Times of September 5, 2002, al-Marabh will claim that he spends the next year or two in Pakistan working for the Muslim World League, an Islamic charity some have suspected of funding radical militants. He also later acknowledged that distributing as much as $200,000 a month to various training camps in Afghanistan at this time, but claimed it was for charitable causes. He says he decides to return to the United States in the wake of a Pakistani crackdown on Arabs following the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. Between the years of 1997 and 98, Raed Hijazi attempted to blow up hotels while in Jordan. He also moved over to Boston and worked as a cab driver with Nabil al-Marabh, and according to an FBI source who knows Maraj and Nabab, basically described in media reports as reliable and high-level informant. Hijazi is approached by FBI agents investigating a drug trafficking network bringing in white heroin from Afghanistan through Pakistan. According to the source, Hijazi becomes a willing informant about the network. The source will later claim to the Boston Herald on October 16, 2001, that Hijazi also provided information about Arab terrorists and terrorist sympathizers, but the FBI in Boston were more interested in the heroin trade. The timing of this is unclear, but it must have occurred between early 97 and late 1998, because this is the only time Hijazi lived in Boston other than traveling to Jordan and participating in the Millennium Plot. An FBI spokeswoman will decline to comment on the issue, except to say, based on the reporting, she wouldn't question Hijazi's reliability as an informant. After Raed Hijazi goes to Jordan, Nabil al-Marabh makes several large deposits, withdrawals, and overseas wire transfers that are Boston flagged as suspicious. According to the Associated Press on June 3, 2004, presumably some of these transfers go to al-Qaeda operatives Raed Hijazi in Jordan. As will later be known, he frequently sends money to Hijazi during this period. Some of the funds may even go to several of the 9/11 hijackers, as al-Marabh holds nothing but a low-wage taxi driving job. It is unclear where the money is coming from. But in February 99, al-Marabh had moved to Tampa, Florida. He gets a Tampa driver's license and begins driving taxis in Tampa, just as he did previously in Boston. According to an apartment complex manager from February of 99 to 2000, he lives in an apartment with another Arab man with a different last name. Investigators would later wonder if al-Marabh was an advance man for the Florida-based 9/11 hijackers, as Tampa is about 50 miles north of Venice, where several of the 9/11 hijacker pilots will attend flight schools beginning in July of 2000.